What is up, beautiful human? I have got some good news and some bad news. The bad news is I forgot to hit record after doing our close by chat workshop that we just finished. It was amazing. We talked about how to build a trust ecosystem that sells for you so you can close by chat. And I forgot to hit record. So that's the bad news, mostly for me. And for you, that means that you're probably going to miss out on some really corny dad jokes. Uh, there was some risque conversations going on. But the good news is I'm just going to re-record it right now, and I am going to share with you, probably a little bit more streamlined, the close by chat workshop. And I'm just going to share my screen and get right into it. So let's go. So this workshop is the close by chat workshop, how to build an ecosystem that sells for you. So what you're going to learn in this workshop is how to sell high ticket offers through chat, how to build a trust ecosystem that makes that possible. And then I'm going to give you simple, proven frameworks that will work for you if you are an expert or an established coach. And I'm also just going to preface this right up front. I do have an offer for you. I do give fair warning of when it's coming at the end of the workshop. And if you'd like to hear it, then stick around till the end. And it's pretty good. So highly recommend checking it out. But before all of that, even if you didn't want to hear the offer, there's so much value inside of this workshop. And these are things that I just wish I had learned earlier. And that said, like, we've been using different versions of selling by chat, closing by chat for the last 5 years. We've sold over $1 million closing by chat. And this is kind of like the 2.0 version because the entire landscape has changed. AI is changing the way we do everything, including how we sell. And so I'm going to unpack all of that inside of today's training and why you might care or why you might want to invest the time to watch this is if you're an online expert, coach, professional, who is looking to have more sales and do it in a way that doesn't burn you out and actually scales, then this is going to show you exactly how to do that and how to do it in this current environment. Many companies right now are replacing, let's see if I can zoom in like this, are replacing sales agents with AI and AI chatbots and even AI voice. But I really think that the enrollment process is it's foundational and it's really important because the way that you enroll somebody into your programs matters because it sets the tone for everything else. And if you try to automate that away too much, I think it will create, I know it will create because we tried it, challenges down the road with your clients. And so I'm going to show you how this closing by chat will help avoid some of those problems that I think AI is going to bring about. And I really think that this model is the future for high ticket sales if you want a business that doesn't, or that actually does give you freedom, scalability, and doesn't leave you burnt out. So lots of good stuff in here. And if we've never met, I don't really talk a lot about myself in here at all, but the long story short is I used to be a certified financial planner. I have sold and earned millions of dollars. I quit corporate and went online in 2016, built a money coaching business until 2019. I sold that and I started the company that we have now, the Quantum Collective. And I've basically taken everything that I've learned through the process of my experience and put that into this training and also our coaches and our programs. That we've helped over 500 coaches scale their business online. I have worked with many seven-figure brands behind the scenes to help them scale. But this workshop in particular, what I'm talking about here is the freedom that I created for myself and my business when I understood how to close deals by chat. And so I have made sales while grocery shopping, while sitting in a hot tub on a ski resort, while watching Netflix and chilling. And one of my favorite things to see, so I just went into my, chat conversations and didn't have to look too far to find a bunch. Here's an 18K deal by chat, pay in full, yep, I'm in, sign up. This is a good one. Definitely need to learn how to sell as easy as this conversation, right? So this is, and if you go into my chat conversations, you'll see this everywhere. So something that you might notice is like, where are these chat conversations happening? And this isn't exclusive, but a large majority of people who enroll into our programs with Just Chat are coming from our community, school. And I think the reason for that is because we've built a free community where we provide a lot of value for people, and we build that rapport, and we have an ecosystem where people can get to know, like, and trust us at scale. And we use school to help us with that. I was thinking about this, and now I haven't been single in a long time, like 10 years. So this might be off. I might be wrong. But I was thinking about this as a metaphor. Like, what is it kind of like? And so my question is school like some of these dating apps? Like, for example, Bumble. And I don't know if it's necessarily school, but I think the process is very similar, or it occurs to me like it is. And so, like, if you're single, it's been a while, but I think it goes like this, right? You kind of look at people's profiles and swipe left or right? Oh, like something about that person, either I'm attracted to or I'm not. And then you might go check out some of their content, or you might see like, oh, you're a Gemini and you match well with me, or you're an Enneagram this, or, there's like little clues about what you believe and what you're into and what you like that make people think or want to go deeper to understand, oh, we might be a match. Like, I'm really attracted or I'm drawn to this kind of person. I think the same thing happens when people are looking for coaches and help and support. And so then what happens is, like, then you chat with somebody. Right? You're like, hey, I kind of dig what you're up to, right? And then as long as this chat conversation isn't weird, you probably go on a date, close the deal, right? And I think that it's like, this is literally the same process as a coach or a service professional online. It's like, you have a profile, right? And on that profile, one of my favorite quotes is Ralph Waldo Emerson. It's like, I can't hear what you say because who you are speaks so loudly, right? There's so many things that you're saying with the picture that you choose, with the words in your bio. Like, there's so much being said with just your profile. And then there's like your content where people can get to know you, like you, trust you, or like, gauge whether or not you're the right vibe. And then there's the chat conversation. Hey, how can I help? Da, da, da. And then you might do, like traditionally, you might do a Zoom call and enroll a new client. What I'm going to show you today is you don't need to do that Zoom call. And I'll give you a quick little story before I dive in on today's training, which is from Dr. Falaki. She's in our program, and she is a doctor who has had MS herself and now works with people who have MS. And she's found a methodology and a process where she's been able to, I wouldn't say like heal or reverse her MS, but found a way to be self-reliant, not need a wheelchair. And that's what she helps her clients with. But she does have like a limited capacity in terms of how much she can work and the type of business that she wants to build. But she really saw the power of not having to do sales calls. And so she dug in, she learned the system, and within maybe a month or two, was able to enroll her first client for $1,500 through chat without a sales call. And this was big. The reason I wanted to share this is because while Dr. Falaki had some like a capacity issue, every coach, every online entrepreneur will run into that capacity issue at some point. It will be different for different people, but this is why the way that you build your business is so important, because if you build it the wrong way, you're going to end up with these kind of problems. And so this is like the traditional old way of building out your business. And if you do it this way, you're going to very quickly end up in what we would call a calendar prison. Right? It doesn't take many active clients and then plus sales calls, and all of a sudden you might start looking at your calendar and be like, oh my gosh, I have no free time. I thought I wanted to be an entrepreneur to have more freedom. Right? So that happens. And in the beginning, you might not have you might be dreaming of having a full calendar of sales calls, but eventually you will hit a capacity issue and this becomes a big problem. The next thing that happens is when you have this model and you get somebody onto a call and you don't understand, well, it doesn't even matter if you don't understand. It's just like, if the sale happens or doesn't happen and it has to happen on the call, inevitably there will be some manipulation or high pressure tactic that happens. And often you can end up enrolling clients who aren't totally aligned, right? And so naturally it creates more of a high pressure closing experience. Not always, but in that old model, that's why we've all experienced it before, because there's a particular model that is being run where it's like either buy now or you'll never buy. I'm not even saying that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that that is a challenge for a lot of people. And number 3 is with this model, and this is actually the simplest model, but as you grow and you scale, it does create more complexity, because for one of the reasons is if you ever want to not do this, you're going to have to hire people to do the sales for you, and that will create more complexity. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that, in the sense that the capacity issue can be solved, or the way that you would normally solve this capacity issue is by hiring more people, having multiple calendars, and it creates levels of complexity. And so if you go through this process and you build your business on the old foundation, you end up with a fully packed calendar, creating high pressure closing situations. And as you scale, the only way out is really to hire people for the role. And now you all of a sudden become like, you've got multiple people doing different roles. You're not a sales manager usually. And so it creates a level of complexity. And this is where a lot of coaches end up building a business that they grow to hate, where they're burnt out, they're broke, they're stuck, and they've kind of built the bro marketing model. All right. And this is what I did. So I know this. And then I found a new way, and this is just through lots of trial and error and a synthesis of a lot of different strategies and things that we've used over the last 5 years. But what I can tell you now is like, this is what I wish I knew way earlier, because the model that we have now gives me total calendar freedom. So my calendar looks like I wake up at 4. I have Dan time from 4 till 8. I then do deep work from 8 till 12. And then I work in the afternoon or I don't. But it's pretty open and flexible. And that's my calendar, right? And as a result, the sales are really effortless, because by the time somebody is interested in working with us, they're already enrolled into the program. I don't really have to do any selling. The content has done a lot of that selling for me. And number 3 is it's very simple. So it can scale infinitely without it becoming more complex. And I'm not saying that it's easy or that it's even fast. It's the first part, you have to build some stuff, right? And then you build those things, and that's it. And then it becomes simple, because you don't have to build like the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. You just have to tend to the things that you've built, and it's simple. And that's why it scales. Okay. And then what I'm experiencing now is the business that I signed up for when I started my own business. This business 5 years ago, almost 6 years ago, is more freedom, more impact, and fun. And so I want to help people get here a lot faster than I was able to do it. And you can, if you avoid some of these foundational mistakes that I made. And the benefit of this, so the old way, when I was doing it the old way, is I had isolated chat conversations. I didn't understand that there was a conversation happening outside of the sales call or the chat conversation. I had to learn like real-time persuasion. You know, you're learning how to handle the objections. You still have to do this, but I'm just saying it was like real time. Like I have to sell now versus there's a different way of thinking about it where people, by the time they're interested in your offer, they're already pre-sold. You don't have to like sell too hard because the marketing and the content has done all the heavy lifting. Same thing with this. The conversation isn't happening just inside of a chat. It's happening inside of an ecosystem or a sphere, your sphere of influence. Okay, an old way of thinking is if I get more calls, I'll make more sales. But a different way of thinking is if I have more trust, I'll have easier sales and I'll need to do less. So let's focus on trust, not just like volume. And then lastly is instead of high pressure closing, I can focus on low pressure, high alignment closing. Okay. And so these are like the key distinctions of like there's an old way and then here is a new way that just feels way more aligned for me. And maybe it does for you. And if it does, you might be interested in our offer at the end. But regardless, whether it does or it doesn't, you're going to find a ton of value in the next 4 big ideas that I'm going to share with you here in this workshop. So this workshop specifically, if we break this down, is how to close by chat. All right. And the way that you're able to close by chat is understanding this idea of a trust ecosystem. I'll give you an example. So I was thinking about this. And if you've ever struggled with, or you've thought like, yeah, I'd love to sell by chat or close by chat, but nobody's going to buy my $3,000, $5,000, $20,000 thing without a phone call. Ever thought that? If you have, I want to show you something that might dispel that myth that you have in your head. So this is a chat conversation between Elon Musk and Larry Ellison. And it goes like this. Any interest in participating in the Twitter deal? Yes, of course. Cool. Like no big deal, right? Roughly what dollar size? Not holding you to anything, but the deal is oversubscribed, so I have to reduce or kick out some participants. Scarcity, right? $1 billion or whatever you recommend. Why would he say or whatever you recommend? Because he trusts Elon, right? And then Elon's like, whatever works for you. I'd recommend maybe 2 billion or more. This has very high potential. I'd rather have you than anyone else. 2 billion. So he just upsold 1 billion, right? And then has high potential and a lot of alignment. I'd rather have you than anybody else. I agree. It has huge potential and it'd be lots of fun. Okay, this is a $2 billion deal being done by chat. I think you can probably sell your 5K offer or your 10K offer by chat if you understand why this is even possible. And a big part of it is, well, he has trust. All right, so one sec here. Yeah. So let's unpack the 4 big ideas that will help you to be able to close by chat or understand if closing by chat is the right move for you. So the first big idea is, what is this trust ecosystem that you're talking about, Dan? And I'm going to define what is trust and what is an ecosystem. And you'll see that this idea of a trust ecosystem actually replaces the idea of a funnel. All right. And if you think about a trust ecosystem or just a normal ecosystem, right? Like a thriving ecosystem, it has, water and plants and animals, and it's like alive, right? And this is like a little bit of a idea or just maybe a belief that helps me think about the way that I'm acquiring clients and kind of trusting or aligning with a natural way of life. I often think that nature is giving us mirrors to like how things are. So for example, in a thriving ecosystem, there's typically a lot of mushrooms, and there's a lot of underneath the mushrooms is an entire mycelium network that is passing information from all of the roots of the trees to everything that's going on in the ecosystem. There's information being passed through that network that looks like a nervous system or even like a brain with the synapses and the roots of the trees. It looks almost identical. And the reason I bring this up is just because there is the observable ecosystem on the surface, and then there is like what's underneath the surface. And I often think of, when I was thinking about this, I was thinking of this quote or this idea from the book Success Principles by Jack Canfield. And he talked about, instead of writing an email the night before to people that he would want to connect with, he would actually just like close his eyes, connect into the ether, and he would send messages through thought and connecting in with the people that were in his network. And sure enough, in the morning, he would get messages or emails, or that person would call him, because there's a belief that we are all connected, that there is a network that exists. And so I believe that, and it helps me to attract aligned clients by having that belief. All right. And I think that nature is often reflecting back to us what is so, what is real about the nature of this experience, this existence. So anyways, I just like bring that up. There's like a little bit of a belief in there. And then if we were to define an ecosystem, what is an ecosystem? Well, it's basically made up of two things, right? So it's a community or a group of living organisms that interact with each other in a specific environment. It's made up of two inseparable components. There's the environment, and then there is the organisms, right? And I want you to think about this or apply this to your online business. So the environment or the environment is like your little corner of the interwebs, right? That's your sphere of influence. That's your corner of the interweb. And then the organisms that exist in there are your clients, your prospects, and your leads. And you are creating a little bit of an ecosystem that might have your emails, Instagram, maybe a workshop, maybe a YouTube channel. Like there's just like an ecosystem where you show up in front of your clients, your prospects, and your leads. All right. But that is a very different idea than this kind of mechanical process that of like when we think of a funnel, where it's like, okay, cool, they'll go here, then they'll go here, then they'll go here, then they'll go here. And they'll all perfectly kind of flow through in this mechanical way. It doesn't really work that way. And so, and it's not that it doesn't work, it's just that there's a way of thinking about it where it's like an ecosystem versus a funnel. I find that thinking about it like an ecosystem is helpful for me. Maybe it's helpful for you, or maybe the funnel is helpful for you. I still think I'll show you this, I'll unpack this in a little bit, but it's like the funnel's not wrong. I just find that an ecosystem, or thinking of it as like a sphere of influence, is better reflective of how I experience people becoming clients, because it's often not linear. In fact, a lot of people come into my world and then they don't become a client for like 12 months. They follow along, they watch a piece of content over here and over there and over here. And it's really just like understanding that, I think. Okay, so that's the ecosystem part, but then what is trust? Well, Stephen Covey, in his book, Trust and Inspire, and the speed of trust, he defines it like, what is a leader? And how does that leader have trust or build trust? And it comes down to two things. There's the competence, or their ability to deliver results, demonstrate capability, and continually improve, right? So if you think of yourself as a coach, as an expert, as a specialist, this is what is trustworthy, right? That you're able to get your clients results and you can continually improve. And then there is the character element where you have integrity. You say what you do what you're going to say. You do what you say you'll do. You're honest and you genuinely care for other people. These are the ingredients of trust. Now, the reason I bring that up is because this is our ecosystem. Okay, this is the way that it works. And the reason, I'll unpack this in a second, but every single business everywhere, there are 5 things that your business absolutely needs. Okay, doesn't matter what type of business, you need these 5 things. And this is how it looks, these 5 things look like for us in our business as an ecosystem. So the first thing that you need to be able to do, I'll just write it here, is number 1, you need to be able to attract clients, right? So the way that we do that is here. We do that with Instagram. We do that with Instagram ads. And so this is how we attract. We run Instagram ads. But a very, very small percentage of people who follow us, that we grow our audience with, are even ready to buy when they do, right? It's like 2%, something like that. Okay, so then we have an entire system, which is the next thing that every business needs, which is a way to nurture your leads over time and build relationships over time for the people who aren't ready to buy yet, but might buy in 3, 6, 12 months from now. And for that, we have a school community. Now, the next thing every business needs to be able to do is they have to be able to convert. And actually, what I'm teaching right now, Close by Chat, is this one piece of the puzzle on how to convert. I'm showing you how to close by chat, which is how to convert. But if you zoom out, that's one piece of the bigger puzzle, right? So I'm showing you the full map of what makes this so effective and why this actually works. So if you were expecting to get I'm going to give you a framework and like some things that you can say, but it doesn't exist in a little tiny silo. It will only work to the degree that you do these 5 things that every business needs to do: attract, nurture, convert, and then you must be able to scale. And so that's where something like a workshop comes in, because you can do one-to-many. And lastly is deliver. And that is your offer. And the way that our offers are, we go, free community, high ticket, low ticket. And it's one offer. It just has different levels of access and support. But this is deliver. And so those are the 5 things: attract, nurture, convert, deliver, and scale. But if you think of these things as all separate pieces of the puzzle and not like one giant ecosystem, that they're all working kind of together, I think it doesn't work as good as this model does. And so if you look at this, so this is actually something that a lot of people do right now. They have Instagram ads, and it's like, for some people, it's like one and only strategy, and that one strategy does work, right? Some people, they have school, and school is like their whole thing, and you can use that as a strategy. And workshops is another strategy, right, that people can use by themselves in a funnel, right? You can have an Instagram funnel, you can have the school funnel, you can have the workshop funnel. And if you look at it like a funnel, this is kind of how it goes. So Instagram followers are, it might cost you, let's say, $2 to get an Instagram follower, maybe $1 or $2, and only 2% of those people are going to be, likely going to book a call with you. So if you get 100 people to follow you, chances are one, maybe two of them will be interested in what you have right away. Okay, next level would be doing live workshops, which cost about $5 to get somebody to join, but typically higher intent. And about 5 to 10% of people who join a workshop should be able to book a phone call from or like have them take the next step. Right? We run something called a school community funnel. It costs about $10 to get somebody in, but they're a higher quality lead, and 10% of those people end up booking calls. And you might be wondering, like, calls, Dan, I thought this was like closed by chat. Why are you doing calls? And that's what I'm going to unpack in the next big idea is like, what season are you in? And does it make sense to even close by chat? Because if you're brand new, you don't need all of this. You need a good offer. If you're brand new, this is what you need. Okay. But what is important is that you build a business where you can see as you grow, it scales in a way that doesn't suck. And that's the main thing. So if you're brand new, it kind of looks like this. You create a high ticket offer, one offer, and you get your Instagram dialed and you run ads to your Instagram that start conversations. That's where you start. And we have people who are doing $15,000, $20,000 a month just doing that one thing. But eventually it's like there's a capacity issue with that one strategy. And so then the next thing that you would do is you'd either do a workshop or you'd build a school community. Because these are things that can help you to establish more rapport and more trust, and they're really great. We call it the workshop that doesn't matter. I won't go into like how the mechanics of all that work, but it's super simple. And the one other thing with all of these strategies is, one last way of looking at this is Instagram is daily. School community, we do like 1 or 2 posts a week. So this is like weekly. And then you do 1 workshop a month. And that's how I think about like scaling. In the beginning, you do the thing that you can do every day to talk with people, get clients. Then you can add in something that you can do weekly, and then you can add in something that you can do monthly. And then you get these 3 things working together, and you can really scale without building a business that you grow to hate. So that is our ecosystem that takes something to build it initially, but once it's in place, you're just like tending to a garden. It doesn't take much after you've built the things. All right. So back to this piece where we're talking about calls, right? And if you actually look at this, so $10, 10% book, that's $100. $5, 5% book, that's $100 an appointment. $2 and 2% book a call, that's $100. So cheaper leads initially might still end up being the same result. Around $100, $200 for an appointment booked when you're running ads. That's important to know. But also just being like really real with what are some of the numbers that you need to know. So these are some of them. Okay, so anyways, big idea number 1 is that if you think about what you're building, don't just build a bunch of random things, build things that connect together, and think of it in terms of a trust ecosystem, and then become the leader that people can trust who runs this ecosystem. And do it do the right thing at the right time. You don't have to do all of the things at once. Okay, big idea number 2 is the trust freedom matrix. So does it even make sense for you to be doing close by chat based on the season of business that you're in? So let's break this down. On one side, we have the degree of trust that you have, and on the other side, we have your freedom. So this is kind of like the calendar, right? How much white space is on it? And trust is going to be kind of like your brand. And so if you're brand new, you've never helped a client, you just got certified, maybe your trust is going to be nothing. If you've helped lots of people, you have testimonials, you've been featured in magazines, you have a brand, you have a social following, you're going to have high trust. Okay, so if you don't have high trust, and in the very beginning, what we recommend doing is actually doing 2 call closes. So you do 1 where you set, and then 2 where you close. And the reason for this is because it's very easy to book a 15-minute call. The risk on that is low. And if you say, like, this isn't a sales call, I'm just going to try and be helpful for 15 minutes, that is one of the best ways for you to establish more trust with people. Right? So if you don't have a brand, by just doing free 15-minute insight calls, providing value, and then seeing if there's a fit, and then asking them if they want to look at your offer, and if they do, you book a meeting, and then you close on the second meeting. This is what we did for years, and it works really great. But you don't have a ton of freedom because you don't have a ton of trust. So then the next phase comes in where you have more trust. And then what we did is it looks like this. So we still did, we set, and then we started to close by chat. And so what that looks like is we would still do, hey, why don't we hop on a quick 15-minute call, see if I can be helpful. And then we would do that. And what I started doing is I just said, hey, at the end of that call, I was like, yeah, was that helpful? They're like, yeah. So cool. I have all the details of my offer on a doc. I could just share that with you. You can have like a little chat conversation. I'll send you a message. You can take a look at the offer. I think I can help you. Does that sound good? They say, sure. And I just follow up by chat, and I started to close deals by chat. And I was like, oh, I just got all this time back that I was doing sales calls. I no longer had to do that. But this is where it gets really cool. Eventually, I didn't have to, or I found somebody, AJ, who can do this part for me, where they can actually do the coaching, they can teach the method, they can help people out. And I was actually able to free up my calendar completely with one good setter. And then I just closed people by chat. And I opened up all of my, all the sales calls on my calendar, gone. And at the highest degree, if you have like a real brand, and I don't mean like Kim Kardashian brand, I just mean in your ecosystem, if you have a lot of established trust, then you don't even need to do the setting. You can just close by chat. You can have wait lists, and you can enroll people into your programs without even doing phone calls. But it takes time to get to that level, and the way that you could determine where you're at is like, how big is my ecosystem and how much trust do I have within it? If you have a picture of a cat on your Instagram profile, I'm going to guess you have 0. You have 0 trust in your marketplace. All right, so this is hopefully helpful to help you determine whether or not even closing by chat is something that you should focus on based on the stage of business that you're at. And hopefully as well points to what is the highest value thing that you can do is create your ecosystem and then build your trust within it. So how do you do that? And that's big idea number 3. Because this is what's the content that you create that will help you grow your brand and your trust. Now, I'm not the guy to follow. Let me just change this for a second. If you want to go viral, you want to have hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram or YouTube, I'm not the guy. I don't know how to create that kind of content. I can't really be bothered to create that kind of content. I do think that there's lots of value in understanding how to capture more attention, but I haven't had to. And I've created a bunch of content that mostly just helps me get paid. And I think that there's like a good correlation between, like, would you rather be famous or rich? And I know a lot of people who have massive audiences and they make no money. And I know the flip side. I know people with really small audiences, 1,000, 2,000 people, and they make tons of money. And so the content that I create is mostly the types of content that helps me build the trust with the right kinds of people and ultimately allows me to close by chat. So what is that kind of content? Well, before I tell you what the type of content is, let's actually first put this into context. So the way that I think about it, I don't do a bunch of different channels. I find learning just one social media channel is like a big enough job in itself. So we focus on Instagram. All right. And Instagram to me is kind of like the sidewalk, right? That somebody's walking on. And then we have our school community. And the school community to me is like the store. And then the things that I create are basically the wild, wacky, inflatable arm guy who's like, hey, I got this thing. And I'm moving people from the sidewalk into my store. And the story about this is, so I used to live in Mexico. And when I was on the Malecon, they would have all of the street vendors trying to sell their things in the street. I never bought anything from any of them, except for a couple bracelets. But outside of that, I said no, like most of the time. However, there's also vendors who are like, hey, come get this thing for free. Or, hey, check out this thing inside my store. Hey, you want a tequila shot inside my store? You want some nachos inside my store? And if you go inside the store, the probability of you buying is way higher, right? In North America, versions of that are like Walmart flyers where you can get, I don't know, pop for 10 cents. Making stuff up. But it's like, that's called like a door crasher. It's something that gets people in the door. And now you're in the store and you're like, oh, I'll buy this and this and this. And so the other thing is like, as soon as somebody comes into your free community or your store, the context changes completely. Right? So this is, first of all, the frame that I'm thinking of when I'm thinking about content is social media is the sidewalk, school is like my store, and then the things that I create are in my store, and I wave them over here, and I'm like, hey, you want to come in here? And then what's the types of content that I create? It's like, it's these three things. A couple of scribbles. I'll scribble on them again, but the types of content that I create are live, give, and lead. So what do I mean by that? Well, live is the stuff that I'm sharing on Instagram, which is mostly my personal story, behind the scenes, my thoughts and opinions, maybe an occasional rant. But these are things that are a little bit broader in topic. They're unique to me. You know, I'm used to be a financial advisor. I've got 2 daughters. I'm a girl dad. I'm a washed up hockey bum. I'm in my savage beard growth era. I travel, I'm sharing my life, right? And then I'm giving things away. I'm like invoking the law of reciprocity. I'm being generous, which activates abundance. It's also like, you want to be successful online. This is the way. It's giving and creating value, right? So I create freebies and trainings and invitations, and I give things away. And then I lead people, and I lead people by sharing client successes. I share my own successes, like here's what's possible. Here's the methodologies that I use. Here's what makes our thing unique. I'm teaching, and I do that in different arenas. So I live over on Instagram, and I lead over in school, and I create and give stuff away to bridge the gap. And even if you look at this, it's like what content should I, this is the content cadence, right? So what is this? This is a cadence. And so you can use these, like these are the types of content that you can create that help you make money, right? Client success, methodologies, unique trainings, personal story, behind the scenes, thoughts and opinions, and then giving away freebies, trainings, invitations. That's the content cadence that builds trust and actually converts. Okay, so that's big idea number 3. And big idea number 4 is now you have an ecosystem. Now you know which content to create inside that ecosystem. And the last thing is like, oh man, now I've got people reaching out to me and having chat conversations and I'm kind of awkward. I don't want to mess it up. What do I say? And I'm not going to give you so much as like say this and then say this, but rather a framework to think about what you have to walk somebody through in order for them to get to say, I'm in, or I want to work with you. And also, this is, when I say the 2.0 version, this is like before understanding the trust ecosystem and then after understanding the trust ecosystem. So before understanding the trust ecosystem, this was the framework, and we would engage with people. Then I would connect with them. Then I would ask the magic question, which is, do you mind if I ask you a couple questions to see if I can help? And that would pivot into allowing me to assess whether or not I can help them and see where they're at and where they want to go. And then I frame what it is I do and that I can help them. And then I invite them to take the next step, typically a 15-minute insight call or a free coaching call or a free consult or something like that. Okay. And this works really well. The challenge that most people have with this is they get stuck here. So this is the part that requires a little bit of skill. It's in the transition from engaging to connecting. I'll give you a couple tips here. When you're connecting, this or that questions are the best. You don't want to have people think too much too soon. You want to do thinking for them. So you ask questions like, are you looking to lose weight or build muscle? Are you single or are you dating? Are you brand new? Are you already working with clients or are you just launching? Right? And if you have 2 or 3 of those this or that questions, you can like gain momentum because they're easy to ask, they're easy to answer. You start building rapport. And then it's like you've already asked a couple questions and you don't want it to feel like an interrogation. So you just say, hey, do you mind if I ask just a couple more questions, see if I can actually help? And then you're great. Now you can actually ask the 3 or 4 questions that create the gap, which is where they are and where they want to be, and does your offer help them get there? Okay, so that's like version 1. But what I kind of realized as we built out our ecosystem is that some of the assets that I built was actually doing this conversation for me, right? So engaging with people, I can do that without chatting with them, actually. I can comment on their content. I can like and engage with their content. And that's an engagement, right? And then connecting with people is like, oh, well, maybe they join my school community or they join my email list. It doesn't have to be a school community, but for us it is, right? And that's where people can connect. And they can connect with our message. They can watch some of our long form content. Maybe it's subscribing to a YouTube, but it's like they are connecting. Then in order to assess the problems that you solve, this is where a video sales letter comes in. Because in the video sales letter, you're saying this is who it's for, this is who it's not for, this is why we're different, this is the transformations that we cause, here's the people that we've already helped, right? And you're showing them these are the problems that you help people solve. For me, the 5 problems that I help people solve are the 5 that I already mentioned earlier: attract, nurture, convert, deliver, and scale. Right? And then framing your solutions, you do that with testimonials. Oh, we helped. Here's how it looks like in a chat. Hey, it sounds like you've tried lots of different things to lose weight, and and it's just not coming off. And it kind of reminds me of this client we worked with, Angela. She did the same thing. It was kind of like she was doing the workouts and eating, her meal plan, just couldn't lose the weight. And then we actually did, we used this little test to figure out that it was actually a hormone issue. And we gave her some supplements and the weight just melted right off. It turns out it was a hormone issue. It might be what your, it sounds kind of like that could be the same for you. I don't know, but would it be helpful to hop on a 15-minute call and find out? I have a little framework that we could use to figure that out. Yeah. So you're framing that you can help them with what? With a testimonial. And then you have your offer on a one-page offer doc that you can just share with people. And so the process is the same. And these assets are things that you can build. In the beginning, you could just have the chat. But what I've noticed is whether it's people's attention spans are shorter or just like the time, I think it's also like we're in a trust recession. So people are a little bit, I would say skepticism is at an all-time high. Trust is at an all-time low, and people have been burned. And so it's taking people longer to buy. And so as a result, it's not so linear in the process. And that's where having these assets in place are basically continuing the conversation for you without you actually having to be in the conversation. Again, these are things that give you leverage and give you freedom. All right. So then how do you build these assets? And so previously this would take, quite a long time to build out, okay, Instagram, I got school, and I got email lists, and I wouldn't even be talking about this stuff because it would be, I would fear that I would overwhelm people, except for the fact that we're now into an entirely new era of AI, and what used to take months can now be done in days, if not hours. And so the ability to create the evergreen assets that will give you the leverage is not that difficult. And you can get to doing the things that actually matter and move the needle for your clients, which is coaching and supporting them and helping them shift their beliefs. All right, so how do you actually go about this? Well, these are the assets that you absolutely need in your ecosystem. Okay, so you need to have this, the marketing buddy. If you do not have an AI marketing buddy, which is essentially like a second brain, which knows your personal brand, your voice, because of your content, it knows your business overview, any business partners, your story, like it knows, you give it the right prompts and context. You can then ask your AI marketing buddy to create for you the signature offer, your Instagram profile, your freebie, your Instagram ads, your video sales letter scripts, the workshop outline. This workshop outline I did with AI. It didn't do the whole thing. I had to think through it. I worked through my frameworks and I leveraged AI, and it probably took me a couple hours, but it would have normally taken me way longer than that, right? You can build your assets for your school community, all your welcome emails, in your voice, in your tone, landing pages, all of that stuff can now be done so quickly with a marketing buddy. Okay, so that's an asset that you absolutely want to have in your business, and is something that we help all of our clients build as a first step when they come into our world. And then it's like, well, what's the order of things? Because that's another thing. You could do the right thing at the wrong time in your business. So the order of operations is first, you create your offer. And we suggest starting with a high ticket, like what's your premium offer that's an easy yes for people so you can work with them, get results, get testimonials, get feedback, make your offer better. But you build that offer with the intention of splitting it into a 2-tier offer, meaning it's the same offer, just 2 different tiers and levels of access and support. And this allows you to give you, a ton of leverage, but you start out with just like, what's my signature program and offer? And then you build assets that allow you to split it into a low ticket and a high ticket offer. So high ticket offer number one. Then you go into your Instagram profile. There's basically 9 pieces of content that you would want to create. Then you run ads that get people into conversations with you. Then the next thing is you want to map out like what does that conversation actually look like? So what's the script or the snippets? Like what's the things that you always say over and over again? What are the same this or that questions that you always ask? And then you just create those in little you can save replies and responses in your phone. So you're like, oh, that question, instead of typing it out every time, that one little thing will save you like so much time, right? That's, by the way, that's like my job now, is helping people collapse the amount of time that it takes them to get particular results. So that would be the next thing. The next thing that you could do that would be very supportive is having a video sales letter, because you could be in chat with them and you say, hey, you know what? Go check out this video, this training that I did. Let me know if that resonates or if you think it would be helpful to hop on a call. You can use the VSL in lots of different spots. This video right now could be a video sales letter. I'm hopefully demonstrating some expertise. You're getting a vibe of how I roll, of our method, of our system. Right? So it's like value, and it's framing everything that you do. After that, you might run a workshop, which is actually what this is. It's a workshop. And then where am I going to put the workshop? Well, I'm going to put the workshop in a school community so that I don't just create one workshop and never use it again, but rather it becomes an asset that continues to grow my community. And I continue to grow it by having a landing page that drives people into the community. And right now, I'm teaching one part of my bigger method, which is how to close by chat, but I'm continually zooming out so that you can see the whole picture. And you can close by chat just with a chat, but it will be to the degree of your trust. And these assets, if you have these in place, will help you to have a lot more trust in your little ecosystem, your little corner of the universe. And naturally, since this is our solution in our program, inside of our program, we have step-by-step processes to help you build every piece of this system. And previously, this would have taken, months for our clients to build. I remember I used to spend like 2 months, maybe 3 months, helping people build out their offers and their messaging. And now we can create offers in like an hour, like really, really good offers in a very short period of time. And that's the same for any of these assets. The entire ecosystem you could probably build out in like 10 hours. And then it's about tending to your ecosystem and creating content and chatting with people and just working the system in your store. You're like basically taking care of your store. And inside of our programs, we like also can save time because we have the templates, the checklists, the frameworks, the prompts, the tools that's already been built. So you don't have to build them all. It's like they're already there. Now, just to recap, before I share with you, like I mentioned, I do have an offer. But before I get into the offer, let's just recap the 4 big ideas that we talked about on this call and how to actually think about closing by chat. So the first thing that makes closing by chat possible, or the more trust you have, the easier it will be to sell by chat. And so if you build a trust ecosystem, and you become a leader that people trust because you have good character and you have you're competent, then that is going to help you significantly when looking to close by chat. The second thing is understanding that every business has seasons, and you need to know what season you're at. Are you in level 1, level 2, level 3? Is it just you? Do you have a team member? And looking at, how do you set that up? It's not the model. How do you set that up? And know that trust and freedom are correlated. If you focus on growing more trust, you will have more freedom. Okay, then we talked about the live, give, and lead content. So what's the content? live, give, lead. That's it. 3 different frames. Another way of looking at this would be like leader, teacher, and friend. If you want to think of it in terms of archetypes, I'm going to create some friend content. I'm going to create some teacher content. I'm going to create some leadership content. Okay, and then the last thing is like, what's the actual chat flow look like? Engage, connect, assess, frame, invite to take the next step, whether that's book a call or whether that's look at your offer. Cool. So I hope that that is helpful. I wanted to share that there's like a new way that is scalable, that is fun, that is light, takes a little something to build out, but hopefully you had a couple ideas in there that will be helpful, insightful. And I did do a Q&A on the call. This would be weird if I did a Q&A now because I'm doing a recording. So I'm just going to flow into an offer that you can't refuse. You can refuse it, but it expires. So the offer that I want to make on this call is, if you resonated with the stuff that I talked about, if you can see that there's like a new way, you want to build out some of these assets for your business, you want to be supported by an amazing like-minded community, you want the pre-baked system and softwares, then that is our offer, because we have a community that comes with weekly coaching, step-by-step courses, and then the software that's already been pre-built with all of the automations and the funnel pages and everything that you need, just needs your copy, which you can create with your AI marketing buddy. We close this community, so it's normally closed, but we've opened it for 3 days until March 2nd at noon. That's my daughter's birthday. And I don't want to focus on anything after this because we got a B-Day party. And then I'm going to close the doors to this community again. And I don't know when I'll open it. Might be next month, or maybe not. But I'm going to open it for 3 days right now. And so if you are interested in this, then I'll show you how you can get access to it. And what's in it for you is you get the clear step-by-step roadmap to build out every aspect of this ecosystem. You get a like-minded community of people who are building the same things with you. There's weekly coaching on Mondays with myself and my team. You also have the all-in-one software coming preloaded with templates and frameworks and cheat sheets galore. We bring in experts, and we also have tech calls and tech support to help you with any tech issue that could possibly come up with our systems. And if you were to put value on this, like the way that we frame this is, I don't know how to give you like the exact value, because, you know, it's like, I don't know, what is the exact value of this? But so I'll just tell you this. I have spent 4 years and $250,000 of my money to learn from the very best and synthesize all of that knowledge into a cohesive and simple system that is relevant and works right now in 2025. Okay, for people in our one-on-one mastermind, it's $20,000 a year. And this is the same content that we're teaching them. The difference is the level of access and proximity to myself and my team. If you're interested in this, go to, and you want more information, go to the Dan Harrison on IG and type me the word interested. And my little bot will send you a message, and then I will personally send you a message, and we could see if this would be a fit for you. For this one, you have to already be working with clients and are looking to scale. But included in this offer is also our software stack that if you tried to purchase individually would be $5,000 or more. We also have weekly coaching with myself. I'm $1,000 an hour. $4,000 a month for that, maybe $50,000 a year for that equivalent. We have all of our fast cash strategies. This is where it's like, well, for you, what's the price of your program? And what do you charge? Yeah, what do you charge for your program? $3,000, $6,000. We have 13 different fast cash strategies to help you make some money as quick as possible. One of those If you made one sale from one of those strategies, what would it be worth? 3, 30. Okay. We also have an affiliate program. So if you like our community and you want to share it with other people, you can make between $1,000 and $10,000 a month just sharing our stuff, right? And if you separated all of the different courses out and you charge $300 for each course or something like that, it might be $3,000 for that. But probably the most valuable thing that we are creating is a real community of like-minded leaders and experts and coaches who want to build a business in a way that feels good. I don't know what the price is on that, but it's awesome. Because every person in our community is doing this. They are going on this journey of transformation, transforming their business, but also transforming themselves. Will help you build the ecosystem, but this is the real journey where you are going from being a stuck coach to being a 10.0 leader, being stuck under 10 grand a month to being able to do 50 to 100K per month. Changing your mindset about what you even thought was possible. This is the real journey. This is what's inside of our community. And the investment to join today, right now, until Sunday at 2 is $0. So if you're seeing this video and it is in the time frame and it's open, then you can join right now with a free trial and you can check out our community. If you're watching this video and it's past the date, you'll be able to join the wait list. And I encourage you to do that for when we open up our doors again. But right now, if you're watching this, it's before March 2nd. You should be able to click a button below this video and join our community for nothing, no risk, 7 days. Give it a free trial. You can try our software. You can do our fast cash campaigns. You can do all of the things. And then at the end of 7 days, if you love it, stick around, and it's $299 a month to keep all of the coaching, the CRM, the courses, and have continued access to the community. There's no contracts. You can cancel anytime. The way I look at it is it's like $3,000 for the year if you paid for it annually, and that's usually one sale for most people in our community. Do you think that if you had the support, the step-by-step process, and the courses and the CRM and the tech support, that you could make one sale in a year? I think for most people, that is a no-brainer. It's as close to a no-brainer as I can make. So the doors close March 2nd. If you're watching this and it's a wait list, then go ahead and join the wait list. Sometimes we can let people in early if they're like a good fit or they're super eager. But we won't know unless you join the wait list. And if it's open and you see the free trial available, then go ahead and jump in and take it, because we have got a great model. We'd like to work with you and help you build this out. Like I said, if you're interested in more support where we'll actually build this stuff out for you, you can go to Instagram, message me interested, and we can talk about that by chat. Go figure. And that's it for this replay. So I hope you got some value out of this, and hope to see you in our community, whether a free one or a paid one. And thanks for watching. All right. Peace out.